What's up, guys? Try to get a good angle here. I'm in the way back to the very end of this property out here, and in the very deep woods. Apparently, on the property we have woods on one side, woods on the back. There's kind of a clearing, and then more woods behind that. All right, so today I'm talking about the Civil War. America is a divided country. I mean, the human race is a divided thing, but most of the divisions are coming from the ruling class, imposing their will, whatever you want to call it. The thing about it is they want us all to fight each other. This has been a message that I've been talking about for a long time. Like, they're out there pushing civil war all the time. For the longest time, it was just this culture war, right? And the culture war has gotten to the point where it's been weaponized by both sides, and it's not solving any problems. It's just making people more oppressed. So the culture war is stupid. Anybody that's involved in the culture war should just stop doing that. Whether you're on one side and you're pushing your ideas that you think are positive, or whether you're on a side that's trying to say that the other side is being bad no matter what. And both sides do both, so don't try to analyze what side I'm coming from, because I don't really care about cultural issues. It's not something that's going to affect my life. So I do care about other people, but I don't really think that right now is the time to be talking about all these side issues when the real shit is coming down from the people on top. All right. So, the culture war has always been something that they pushed down here to divide us. And then if we move on from that, we have all this talk about how, and the talk is coming straight from, the most influential people in politics, like the president and a bunch of people on TV that always talk about politics, the pundits. So they're pushing this notion that possibly, the Trump supporters are so mad about what's going on with the FBI that there's going to be a civil war over it. What? So you're saying that Trump supporters are mad at the FBI, so who's going to start a civil war? The Trump supporters are going to start a civil war with regular people? And now the rhetoric is even went beyond that. Now they're calling Trump supporters fascists. They're saying Trump supporters are terrorists. And all of this is just pushing for more censorship, because we can't have these dangerous Trump supporters out there. The censorship, I did a video about that already, but it's just seems like every day something else is getting to, showing that it's even worse than what I've already said. And now you got people like Sam Harris saying what we already knew about a lot of people, is that they don't care about if you do horrific things like censor or outright, rig elections to make sure someone loses because you don't like them and you think basically saying that Trump, or his presidency, represents some kind of fascism or some kind of terrorism or some kind of something that's antithetical to democracy. And it's just like, this is coming from these hypocrite Democrats who rig their own primaries forever. They've never not done that. So they want you to think that these Trump supporters are the people, are your enemy. And I walk around town with this camouflage hat on and get dirty looks all day, like I'm some kind of bad person, because they associate the camouflage with Trump people or whatever. I don't know. The country is just sickly divided right now. Are we going to have a civil war? Man, we are already in a civil war. It just doesn't have guns shooting off at each other. We're just on social media, or people are fighting all the time. The fights, in public, at kids' ball games, and any other place where people are forced to be together with other people that they might not have the same political, you know, persuasions on issues or whatever. And it's just to the point where this country is is in trouble, because you got the population out there who are getting crushed by these elitists, and yet as a distraction, we're just going to sit around and fight each other, and that's what they want. So do that if you want to. It's not productive. It's not getting anything accomplished. What do we need to get accomplished? We need to stop what these people are trying to do somehow. How are we going to do that? No one's even talking about how we can stop this agenda that's unfolding before us, and we're all starting to see it. And even a lot of people on the left now that used to call this stuff conspiracy theories and all that, they're starting to come around too. And they're starting to see that there's a bigger agenda going on than what's going on in your small town or your country. These people are doing this everywhere to everyone. Literally their goal is to crash Europe and America's economy down to the point where, everybody's broke, nobody owns anything. That's what they said. That's in their agenda talking points. So I don't know, man. Why are we fighting each other? Why is the energy being spent? And you've seen the people up top, I talked about with the divide and conquer. They throw all these issues out there that are divisive issues like gun control and abortion. Well, they just make it seem like it's do or die, now or never. You got to do something about it. And what is that thing that you're going to do about it? Vote for Democrats? That's all you got? Like, come on. So the people that really think that there's some kind of a need for gun control, or let's ban AR-15s and all this nonsense, these people don't have any idea what's coming. And quite frankly, the people up top pushing the notion that there's going to be a civil war, or that there's going to be a live fire civil war in America, do they really just want the left, the liberals, the progressives, and all those people? Do they want them to die? Because they know that those are the people that believed them on the vaccines. They know those are the people that believed them on all this other shit. And now they're looking like, hey, we're going to have a civil war, guys. And guess who don't have guns? Guess who hasn't been trained on their AR-15s? I personally am trained on all my weapons. And I'm not really a right-winger. But what I will say is that I'm not going to pick a side if there's some kind of live fire civil war. I'm going to sit back in my house in this crazy big-ass place with all these woods and shit and handle trespassers like I always do, like target practice. So I'm not really worried about no civil war. It's just that's some top-down bullshit that they're trying to gin it up, quite frankly, and they've been trying for a long time. That's what the whole Boogaloo Boys movement is. It was in 4chan or some shit on Reddit where people were talking about how they're always pushing for a civil war, and it's like everybody knows about the Electric Boogaloo 2, the dance movie. So they just, World Civil War 2 Electro Boogaloo. Like everything was Electric Boogaloo at the time. That was the fucking meme. Anyway, I'm gonna get on out of here. But I just want to finish this by saying, there's really not going to be a civil war. So stop thinking about it, talking about it. Stop letting them push for it. Every time anything happens, they're like, oh, going to be a civil war. Look they're trying to, right now these people on the Democrats and the pundits are all talking about how, somehow there's going to be, these people are trying to to interfere with democracy. They want to get rid of voting rights, as if the Democrats have ever been any kind of voting right champions. They're not. They're just as bad as Republicans. And by the way, when you fake, when you got ways to make people vote that aren't even real or whatever, I thoroughly believe that there was some fake votes in the last election. And I definitely believe the Democrats rigged their primaries the last 2 times for sure. And so no, the Democrats don't get to be some entity that takes the high ground on democracy, because they are not a democratic entity. They're a corporation, and they only look out for their bottom line like any other corporation. So that's all I got on that. Stay calm and don't civil war, I guess, is the message. And one more note on that is I kind of bumped into another story on my way here, talking about how, the militias are moving in on California and taking over municipalities left and right, with basically a kind of like a get out the vote kind of thing, for probably elections where they just never usually get that many people to come out and vote. City council, mayor, shit like that, commissioners, all the people running treasuries and all that. So in California, the bluest state or whatever, and they're worried about that. And it's like, that's called democracy. That's when the majority of people participating in the elections or whatever get to have their win, and then the elections have consequences. That's just how this country is. It's a democracy. Democracy is not the best system. It sounds like it, and it sounds like if you say it's not, then you're some kind of fucking fascist or authoritarian or something. But no, it's actually pretty bad, because all you got to have is 51% of somebody saying something is law, and now everybody else has to follow it, good or bad. I love that I can come out here and talk to everybody and nobody can hear me. It's pretty cool. This place is big. Like, there's woods everywhere. And that's why I'm not worried about no civil war. What, are they gonna have a battle in my backyard or something? Like, it's not feasible, for one. You have, who's going to be the sides, the left versus the right? Because that's silly. Come on. First of all, a war like that doesn't make any sense. The left versus the right. This isn't Twitter. The real world is the real world. People have to stand next to each other and work and do all this other shit every day with people from the opposite side of the political spectrum. It's not that big of a deal. And what it is, I think, is like when one side feels like they're losing or one side feels like they're winning, they get boisterous. They get more. They have more of an attitude, and I don't know. I don't see any point in thinking that anything will be solved by that either, because the government knows. For them, it would be better if there was a civil war rather than at the end of their empire, because you can see that America is collapsing and the empire is dying, and basically they don't want the narration to sound like that. They don't want it to be, oh, the empire died and collapsed. No, they want it to sound like a bunch of crazy right-wing nut jobs who were trying to take over the Capitol and rig elections and all these other fucking ridiculous accusations that they keep hyperbolically leveling on Trump and his supporters. It's silly, That's what it really is. It's like childish as hell. They never wanted Trump to win. If they didn't want Trump to win, they shouldn't have made him a candidate and Pied Pipered him. Then now they want Trump to be as far away from that office as possible. and they don't like his supporters because, quite frankly, that they know what's really going on. I'm not saying Trump himself does, but it appears that the Trump supporters don't really like mainstream media, and they find out their sources on independent media, and they seem to know a little bit more about what's going on than the non-Trump supporters. So I don't know. The government don't like that. They hate it, even though it's fake, all of it. Like, people like me really know what the fuck's going on, and they don't want someone like me to be, you know, to rise up into any kind of a position where I have influence. But Trump's just like that, only they still know he's one of them because he's a billionaire or whatever. And, you know, he's not like me. He's not somebody that actually believes in self-reliance and, you know, pretty much anarchy, in the sense that we don't need this big, bulky, ridiculous apparatus called the government to organize it and do things, because they don't do a very good job of it. And what they want is they want you and me to fight because we don't agree on a handful of political issues. And you're supposed to think I'm racist because I wear this hat and a red shirt, I guess. You're supposed to think I'm a Trump supporter because I didn't say anything bad about him on this video too much. You know, the left is supposed to hate the right. The government wants us to fight. They want us to have a civil war, even though the left is fiercely unarmed compared to the right. I mean, there's people on the left that are armed, but I mean, it's not, you know. And those people on the left that are armed, they're more inclined to do the revolution thing instead of the Civil War thing. And that's another thing that got confused about the Boogaloo movement. Is the Boogaloo movement was smeared as wanting to push for some kind of civil war, when no, they were making fun of everybody that was always pushing for the Civil War, and at the same time with a back message that maybe we should do a revolution instead. And I'm kind of for that, but I really don't think any of this is going to happen, because no, I don't think you're ever going to see America get out of its comfort zone. And what I mean by that is nobody really is serious about making anything change, and they cling on to the status quo and hope for the best that it stays the same. Would they like a little bit more money? Yeah, that would be cool, but they don't want to make a dramatic change to make that happen either. I mean, nobody out there wants to leave their comfort zone. So unless that comfort zone is the boat that got rocked really hard, I don't think we're going to see a revolution. When it comes to civil war, how is that going to even start? You know, they would have to do some serious psyops to make that happen. Are they capable of it? Yeah, sure, why not? But I don't think, you know, I just don't think it's going to, you know, that they really can push, you know, like when we talk about all these things that the elite are trying to do and want to do, just remember that they can't just steamroll this shit in. And I think they overplayed their card with COVID, because now you have way more people that are way more vigilant about the next thing that they try to pull. And also the people that, quite frankly, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't the people with guns, man? Why didn't they like do something? Well, you know, I don't know. That's a good question. But what are they going to do? You know, you can't just have a bunch of people storm Moderna or whatever. Hey, you know, Bill Gates's compound. So there's no, who knows? There's no solution that way. I'm not saying that we need to do the revolution as in, hey, let's just pack up our heat and march to the Capitol, and you know, it's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. There's not going to be a revolution. There's too many people are just not, they don't care. They'll let the government do whatever they want. And Civil War, gee, I hope we're all not that dumb. All right, don't fall for it, guys. Peace.